Nokia Drone Networks, a high-tech solution for higher situational awareness, comprising the highest quality hardware, a 5G-compatible hexacopter, industrial-grade and European-made. Nokia's UAV solution opens up new possibilities for aerial insights and mission-critical flights. It's robust, water, dust and weather-resistant. It's reliable. Every piece of hardware is CE certified. It's flight-ready. The modular design makes it easier to set up and operate. Pick and personalize your payload. Equipped with a dual gimbal HD and thermal camera with 30 times optical zoom. Or swap in a LiDAR scanning sensor, a spotlight, a loudspeaker, whatever the mission demands. Or how about your own customized creation? With Nokia's payload development kit, you can design and refine a bespoke solution perfectly suited to your needs. Enterprising use cases are underpinned by uncompromising safety features. Integrated dual modem connectivity maintains concurrent network connections, ensuring system redundancy. Even if the connection drops, the UAV won't. Its smart return to launch feature will automatically take it back to the docking station, avoiding no-fly zones. And in an emergency, its automated parachute deployment system activates, initiating a controlled descent. For remote and fully automated missions, deploy Nokia's drone-in-a-box solution. The docking station is outdoor rated and ready for any conditions. It offers precision landing, fast charging and an integrated heating and cooling system. Round-the-clock operations, year-round protection. Nokia Drone Networks, a sky-breaking solution with quality hardware to make extraordinary airborne operations routine.
Hey everybody, welcome back to your Dawn of Autonomy podcast. I'm Don Zolai, your host and the CEO of P3 Tech Consulting. We are starting a new month dedicated to the theme of protectors and defenders. And we have with us here today, Nokia, Thomas Eder. He is one of our sponsors and he's coming to us live from where?
From Germany today.
From Germany today. And Barry Brennand is with Flying Lion, a friend of the show. And we have a great partnership to talk about, some new products, some new services, and we're super excited to have all of you with us here today. So let's get going. And Barry, since you're kind of old hat at this, let's go ahead and let you start with a little bit of an introduction about yourself.
Hi, I'm Barry Brennand with Flying Lion. I'm the founder. Been doing this for about 10 years now and started out real simple, just wanted to provide drones for public safety agencies. And it's grown in and morphed into where we're doing a lot of DFR stuff and now working with Nokia and this technology to take DFR to that next level.
DFR, by the way, I know most of you out there are very savvy, but if you don't know, it means drone as first responder. And that is what a lot of public safety folks are starting to do. Use drones to get to that scene first. So Thomas, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Absolutely. Thank you, Dawn. And thank you for having me today. My name is Thomas Eder. I work with Nokia since, I think, around 2007. My background is communication technology, radio technology, and our mission at the organization that I'm heading today, Embedded Wireless, is really to bring together the power of 4G and 5G, the power of cellular connectivity, the thing that is using, that all of our phones are using as a communication infrastructure, and autonomous drones or drones for public safety and industrial inspections. Particularly, I think we're going to talk about more with our portfolio called Nokia Drone Networks.
Absolutely. And by the way, we know y'all are out there. Apparently, you've got lots of people on AVSI's YouTube channel today. So hello. And reminder that we are live. Mark Ganug from the Nevada test site is out there. He's one of our super fans already saying good morning. So please drop your little notes in the chat, say hello, ask your questions because now's the time you have these experts on the line. So, all right, you're talking about your Nokia is known for its communications and now has gotten into drones. Why?
Well, I think if we look back a bit more than a year ago, like 1.5 years ago, you saw that Nokia was changing not only its legendary logo, its legendary branding, but we were also changing our strategy fundamentally from a pure telecommunications company towards a B2B technology provider. And with our drones portfolio and with our private wireless portfolio, we are really at the core of this new strategy. We want to bring together the power of our actual DNA, the power of connectivity, with new use cases from the robotics worlds. And I think Nokia Drone Networks itself is really at the core, at the heart of Nokia's new global strategy. That on the one hand. On the other hand, if we look a little bit back, we have been in the game of drones since 2016, 2017, when we started a couple of corporate social responsibility activities, when we started to explore what is it actually that we can do good between with those two major things, like this new technology, drones, and connectivity technology that was based on 4G LTE at that time. So that's really where we are coming from. And personally, as a division leader of a voluntary fire station, I'm really excited to see that our drones are picking that well up in the drones as a first responder business at the moment, primarily in Europe, obviously. But I think, Barry, we're going to tell more about the US in a moment.
Well, and Barry, you have 20 years as a volunteer law enforcement officer? Is that right?
Yep.
So we got a firefighter and a law enforcement officer here. That's so cool.
And we're getting along. That's amazing. No conflict here.
There you go. There you go. Well, perfect. And Flying Lion, I mean, if you're in this industry and you don't know Flying Lion, I don't know where you've been. By the way, Barry was on the show before, back in February, for All About Data Month, talking about the data that drones contribute to law enforcement and public safety, professionals, and how it is different and how you must treat it differently. So we'll drop that link. And if you missed that show, go back and watch it. Really great stuff, because we talked all about Flying Lion. We're going to talk about you more, obviously. But, Thomas, I want to talk about this Nokia Drone Networks solution very specifically. And, what was the origin story here? Like, what motivated Nokia to say, hey, we're going to create a whole entire ecosystem, our own drone, the communications network, so that we can help a bunch of different industries. What was the inspiration for this?
Yeah, I mean, it started really as a corporate social responsibility type of activity back in 2016. And we figured that with the thing that we have been doing ever since, communication technology, cellular connectivity, the connectivity that all our phones work with, bringing that together with the topic of drones, or also autonomous robots for manufacturing or other industries, we can really make a difference. And when we look at drones in particular, I mean, we have cellular connectivity. We have connectivity for our mobile phones in pretty much every corner of the world nowadays. That is part of our infrastructure since GSM or 2G was invented. And why not leveraging this infrastructure, this technology that we as Nokia have been doing ever since for those new use cases, such as drones? And one very unique point that we saw from a market perspective is that also gave us really a massive acceleration. We know very well what it means to work together with service providers and what it means to establish or bring technology to the market for companies that are running a service with our technology. In the telecommunications business, we are delivering base stations, antennas, radios, and whatnot. And the AT&Ts, the Verizons, and the T-Mobiles in the world create nationwide networks in order to run a service for everybody who has a mobile phone. In the same way, we figured that we are actually able to deliver our Nokia Drone Networks technology to those drones as a service providers out there and enable the drone pilots and the drones as a service companies out there to run a geographically wide-ranging services, ideally if the regulation allows, even beyond visual line of sight. Yeah. So it's basically, you know, we are doing what we have been doing ever since at Nokia, but on top of that, we do now also drones. And I also believe, apart from that, with the organizational infrastructure that Nokia has, with the strong tie into what it means to develop and manufacture industrial grade products, we really have a chance to also help maturizing this drone industry and help to grow into the next size of shoes that is out there on the market.
Well, and I love that right out of the gate, you're partnering with Barry and with Flying Lion in that public safety space. Barry, you are a drone service provider in some respects, and you're doing much more than that. So give us the around the world of Flying Lion, what you all are doing.
I'm going to refer back to the podcast we did a couple of months ago, and that's got greater origin story. But realistically, we've been around 10 years. It started out as an MBA project to come up with the idea of a business idea. A drone is an inexpensive helicopter alternative for small municipalities, so public service could take advantage of this technology. After that 10 years, it's morphed into something larger than that. So we're in the consulting to help agencies understand the rules and regulations of aviation and using their drone technology, helping them implement their programs, whether that's SOPs or physical rooftop selections, equipment selections. We can train their staff, get them all certified to the 107 standard. And then we actually even provide personnel. And that's what we started with Chula, by providing RPICs to be on top of a roof to help develop their DFR program. And we're currently doing that with about 15 agencies nationwide, and we're up to 45,000 missions. And then lastly, we help agencies procure equipment, lease equipment, and that's where our relationship with Nokia was founded, because we know that that next step is removing the person from the roof. And there's the two elements of that, is having a system that can allow the drone to be changed out or refrigerated or cooled, as well as the FAA portion of it, where we're going to make sure that it's regulatory, we're going to be safe, because we don't want to have any ground risk or uncrewed conflicts. So that's our goal, and that's what we've been working with, and that's what's connected Nokia and us to bring this forward.
Well, that's amazing, and quite an arc here. You know, for those to catch some folks up, Chula, Barry is referring to Chula Vista Police Department, just saw Chief Kennedy last week at the FAA Drone and AM Symposium, supported by AUVSI, our partners here. So great to see her, as always, leading the charge on this, in fact, helping forge this DFR concept with Flying Lion. And again, for those that don't know, the concept is putting Flying Lion folks up on a rooftop to fly the drone in visual line of sight. So having a drone in a box solution to be able to do this remotely, much more autonomously from a remote ops center, is really taking this to the next level, and I'm super excited to talk about that. So let's talk about that, Thomas. First of all, what I want to do is back up and nerd out a little bit, because you mentioned 2G, you mentioned LTE, now you're talking 4G, 5G. In fact, I've read 6G is on the horizon. Without like doing a whole dissertation on this topic, can you explain in simple terms really what this G thing is, 4 or 5G, for those that don't know, why it's so important in communications, and why you think it's groundbreaking in terms of, beyond visual line of sight drone operations?
Yeah. So this G thing is basically nothing else than the generations of mobile communication technologies that the world has been going through ever since, or not ever since, but since mobile phones exist. We need to imagine basically, today we are largely using the technologies 4G and 5G, that is LTE and 5G. So we are in the 4th or 5th generation of mobile cellular communication technology. And if I walk it through briefly, 2G was mainly like, I want to place a call, I want to call somebody with my mobile phone. 3G, and I do this very simplified now, so if there are some 3GPP folks out there, forgive me for simplifying it that much. 3G was mainly, I wanna I want to place a phone call and I want to send SMSs, and I probably also want to have a little bit like a pager functionality. So first, kind of a little bit surfing in the internet with my mobile phone. Not really speedy as we know it today. But yeah, that was 3G. Since I think 2021, maybe 2020, I would need to look it up, we start seeing the fourth generation of cellular communications, LTE. And LTE has really brought us this YouTube type of generation, this Facebook and Instagram type of generation to the mobile phone, streaming HD or 4K video to your phone, having FaceTime calls. This 4G thing has really enabled proper internet experience on our mobile phones. And today we are in 5G, and 5G is all about real-time communications, ultra low latency, and basically a seamless level of connectivity between the mobile phone or the drone or an industrial robot or also an autonomous car and the person that sits on the other end who receives the data. So with 5G, we have really reached a state where industrial use cases, where autonomous applications, robots are starting to be able to maneuver safe and sound within this cellular network. So it's not anymore only about connecting phones and watching YouTube videos or other media on the phone and placing calls. It's now also really machines ranging in the network. That is what 5G enables us, and that's where we believe is really the future. That's where we see that our drones are able to really stand out on the market. And that's where we are also at the end of the day able to bring really this expertise of drones, being a drone manufacturer as Nokia, which is a new thing for us, together with the thing that we have been doing ever since, the communication technology.
What a perfect marriage, and then to add Flying Lion to the mix. Wow. So tell us about Nokia drone networks in particular. Walk us through the technology. I know we've got a couple images, so let's pop that next one up and tell us what we're seeing here.
Yeah. So at the end of the day, you see the headline. The headline is technology that helps the world act together. That is our global slogan for the technology that we provide to the market today. That is a core message of our new branding. And Nokia Drone Networks itself is, as I said in the beginning, really at the core of this new strategy. For the drone enthusiasts, and I'm now transitioning slightly from telecommunication person into drone person. For the drone folks out there, it's a turnkey drone in a box solution that enables holistic drones as a service operations. So the hardware made in Finland, from the first line of code, from the first sketch in the CAD, a true Nokia product, the parachute, the drone, the payload, the box itself, in combination with a third-party payload ecosystem, and the required software alongside with it, the required SLAs in order to ensure seamless operations, and whatever you need for drones as a service operations out of a single shop, out of Nokia. That's, I think, the drone core technology that sits there as part of our Nokia Drone Networks portfolio. I don't want to say secret sauce, but the special flavor that we bring in to Nokia Drone Networks is that we have built this product from day one, from the beginning, under the assumption that this needs to be operated beyond visual line of sight, truly beyond visual line of sight, and based on 4G or 5G, and only on 4G or 5G. So we take out of the loop the traditional controller that sits there. We port that piece of software towards a PC-based or a web-based ground control station together with selected partners. And we try to also remove the human in the loop to the utmost possible extent from flying the drone or supervising the drone, with the box itself with the docking station, as we call it itself, who takes care of heating, cooling, charging, remote maintenance, and is at the end of the day, a part of the modern infrastructure, a part of our daily life in the future. And we should look at these drone in the box systems really as a gas station, or as a like we look at a electric charging vehicle. This is part of the modern infrastructure. This is part of our new normal when it comes to beyond visual line of sight operations of drones.
Well, and from Barry's perspective, this gets people off of rooftops, right? Which, look, it's been an awesome operation that you all have been doing with a whole host of law enforcement agencies across the country. But I imagine standing or sitting on a rooftop, for hours on end is just not fun. Possibly in some situations not safe, think weather. And other factors. So Barry, I'm sure you're super excited for this partnership, because I remember even back as early as February, you saying, hey, and when I saw you at Drone Responders in person in March, there at Busch Gardens, you were like, drone in the box, it's the next thing, we're going to do it. And so here you are. So tell us about the value that this partnership with Nokia is bringing to what you bring to the fight for all of these protectors and defenders out there.
Yeah, so Flying Lion was started with the concept of just being able to get public safety agencies using drones and utilizing it the best and safest way possible. And so with it, as I said, it morphed into a staffing agency to provide our picks up on a roof. But that's never been our goal, not our vision. We don't want to be in the staffing business, but it was a necessary step that we had to do to be able to be compliant with what the FAA required and what departments needed to get their programs moving. We see this drone in a box technology, and specifically the Nokia box, it's taking care of a lot of the things that the human on the roof has to do. Swapping out batteries, maintaining, the connectivity, keeping the batteries cooled and charged, and all of those elements are now put into this box, so industrialized. And now we have to just work on the next level, which will be the FAA side of it, of saying, okay, what other detect and avoid softwares, programs, or devices can we have out there that help eliminate the need for a human being to stand there to manage the airspace? Because that's really what will be the next phase, is the drone in a box will take away the need for the pilot up on the roof, but now there'll be a visual observer to manage that airspace until we can come up with these other devices that allow us to protect crewed aircraft, as well as reduce ground risk with the technology that we have available to us. So we see this as the next phase of DFR. So as we saw at IDIS DFR 2.0 last year, that concept of drone in a box, but we're seeing this in the real world by the Nokia box being used and us training and testing their system to make sure it's going to be that tool that we need for that next level.
Yeah, absolutely. And, y'all are coming together really, I think, at an important inflection point for the industry writ large globally, certainly in the United States. Just having attended that event last week with the FAA, Part 108 on the horizon. Obviously public safety has some special approvals right now, but Thomas, let's talk about some of the technologies and sensors besides obviously 4G, 5G that you baked into this drone and into the system from the start. Some of the sensor technologies that will help enable getting some of these advanced approvals for complex operations. And here we've got a picture of the drone. So walk us through what we're seeing here.
So we basically see a hexacopter that is 4G, 5G connected. We see the parachute itself, which is, and we started from a go-to-market perspective, where we started a couple of years ago is really Europe, working with the EASA and ensuring base compliance in our home market, while we are now transitioning towards the market in US. We have selected deployments already. The real focus is working together with the FAA and understanding through Barry's team, through the Flying Lion team, what are exactly how exactly is the future going to look like in terms of beyond visual line of sight operations in North America overall. The hexacopter itself, with the parachute, with the requirements around remote ID, network remote ID, and payload come as a turnkey package together with the box. And we are, at the end of the day, really relying on the drones as a service operators to tailor the product towards a nice service for the end users, and to provide, at the end of the day, a kind of car sharing service or a ride sharing service towards the people which are in the need of drone operations. So it should not be anymore the case that everybody needs to buy a drone, but we rather position this as an infrastructure service on the market.
Okay, so how will this work then? The drone as a service, if you will, for example, with Barry and Flying Line. Like, can you explain how that's going to work together? I'll send it to Barry. This one, float this one to Barry.
So with that concept of doing what we can to support agencies to get it, if they have the ability to procure and get and purchase their own equipment, then it's the element of how are they going to go ahead and install it? What are they going to do to put it together? The servicing of that. So rather than having pilots, we may be asked by these agencies to provide a technician that makes sure their equipment is going to be running and compliant, on a 24/7 basis. Then the idea is if they don't want to purchase it outright, then they can go into the model of leasing. And so those are the different ways that we're just trying to make it as easy as possible for these agencies to, once they want to use this technology, what's the simplest path for them to be able to do this? And taking advantage of our past experience and best practices that we can bring to their environment helps them to engage this much quicker than they would be if they were going out to market and doing it completely themselves. That's our goal.
Yeah, well, absolutely. And I guess it doesn't really go without saying, because we need to talk about it. If you have drone on a box solutions on a rooftop, you're obviously going to need a pretty robust command center. So let's talk about that, because Nokia also put together the Nokia Drone Control Center. Thomas, tell us a little bit about this.
Yeah. At the end of the day, the control center is nothing else than running a piece of ground control station software. That piece of ground control station software, or that piece of software that operates multiple drones over 4G or 5G, can be the Nokia fleet control software, so our own piece of software. But we also have basically an API as part of our offering, or a set of APIs as part of our offerings that enable integration with any type of drone software management system that is out there on the market. So we are giving at the end of the day, the choice to the customer. And that is where I also want to really mirror what Barry said. We listen to the customer, because that is what you have to do when you establish an as a service offering. We can operate with the Nokia software, or the customer or Flying Line can operate with the Nokia software, but we can also utilize third-party control systems that we are working with already, or that we're going to work with in the future, in order to integrate this drone in a box system into existing IT or OT operations. And that is again something where the Nokia strengths kick in. We don't want to provide Nokia drone networks as a on the top system, as just yet another solution on top of an existing IT environment. We want our solution to become an integral part of existing IT environments. So integrating the IT into existing VPN services, making our drones subject to exactly the same IT policies, or also IT security standards that our industrial or public safety customers apply. It's the Nokia drone network system needs to become a part of an existing environment, instead of just being, yet another piece of the puzzle that gets stitched on the side of an existing network. And that's why we are strong. Understanding networks, understanding IT policies, and bringing this connectivity and IT pillar together with the drones pillar in order to integrate both. I think that's important for public safety, but gonna be even more important for our industrial customers in the mining, in the oil and gas, but also in the utilities verticals.
Well, that makes a lot of sense. And we talked about the different models. You can buy the system, you can lease the system. Barry, I'm going to go back to you, and because you mentioned maybe deploying technicians instead of remote pilots in command, or RPICs, in future deployments. So tell us kind of your vision in terms of training, and how your training program will now evolve with Nokia.
Well, so it's two-sided. It's the side that manages the equipment, and so that is our experience with Nokia and getting set up to be able to repair, service their equipment as needed. And then the other side of that is teaching public safety agencies how to use this technology, because it really is a change in how they do it. And I can speak specifically from a law enforcement perspective, that when you're an officer responding from the air, there's different techniques and methods that you want to use when doing this, because it allows you to be more effective by providing that information to the ground resources that are responding. So it's a very different mindset than being, on the level, on the street level, coming in, not knowing what's going on. You're able to get that advanced information that you can provide to the responding resources, so they're better set up, better prepared. And one of the large things we talk about is the de-escalation. For us talking about this, it's what if we had the ability to say that we don't need these resources, and so we can slow roll assets and things coming out. It becomes a much more efficient tool for us to be able to use. But our goal is to take that away from the agencies themselves, so they don't have to burden themselves with learning this another level of responsibility, whether that's the aviation side of it, the FAA compliance, or how to operate this. So our goal is to come in and show them how to do that, take over some of those responsibilities, but make it as easy, again, for them to take advantage of this technology as quickly as possible.
Well, yeah, that's great to have a one-stop shop, and then the combination, this holistic solution. We have a really good question out there from Mark, and I want to ask, probably it's you, Barry, this one, because you're doing consulting for Nokia in terms of the U.S. drone regulations. We heard for the drone in the box solution. Where are you in terms of obtaining the Part 107s of the FAA Declaration of Compliance, or DOC, for ops over people?
So we're still working on that, because that's the element of the shoot. We have to make sure that that's compliant. But from a public safety agency with COAs, we're able to get that waiver as part of their COAs. But as far as a 107
certificate of waiver, of authorization of waiver. Yeah.
I'm sorry, I speak
That's okay.
acronyms. But with that said, we're also wanting to have this as a commercial element. So we're talking about potentially shielded operation, or because it's a hexcopter with a chute, that it now meets some of those things that might make the standard of being able to fly over people, because it has the built-in safety protocols that allow us to take advantage of that. And we are in process of obtaining both of those, shielded operations for a test center that we're running right now, as well as getting that for general operations when we turn this over to commercial operations.
Okay, awesome. So in terms of the purchase versus lease, I know a lot of times that's going to be a financial decision from the organization looking at deploying this solution. What are some of the benefits of leasing?
It takes all of that burden away from the people that are wanting to operate this technology. And so with it is that if there's something wrong with the aircraft, we completely come in and completely replace it, get it serviced on the back end, versus somebody having to take it, ship it into a service center, bring it all back. So it takes a lot of that burden away from them immediately. And it keeps them up to date with the most modern or most compliant technology. And that's one of the big advantages that we see, is that rather than having to go back to the well and ask for more money every couple of years because there's a new model of aircraft, there's a new technology available, that this keeps them at a moderate cost per month that they can build towards this program. And they know what that fixed cost is, versus going back and having to ask for potentially, $500,000, $250,000 to continue their program running, where this is more of a fixed item and helps them budget properly, as well as don't be in this business. They're in the saving lives business. So we want them to focus on doing that function, and we'll help them with the aviation piece.
Well, I think that's so important, especially for, law enforcement. Well, of course, for firefighters too, all public safety. I remember talking as I saw Chief Kenny and she was leaving last week, she said something like, I do a lot more than just drones. Like, I've got some things I got to take care of when I get back. And I'm thinking, yes, you do. So to have, someone, a company like Flying Line, to come in with the Nokia solution and help, whether it's a lease or purchase, all throughout that process, including getting those waivers or approvals or amending COAs, I think is really critical. Thomas, I want to go back to you and talk a little bit more about this drone, because we've got some experts out there, I'm sure, watching, and they're going to want to know some of the, let's just call it, the specs, if you will. How long does this thing fly on a single charge? Some of the other data points that folks will want to know.
Yeah, yeah. So at the end of the day, the flight time, I typically say, when we talk about the flight time, that's like a surrounding technology, a surrounding dependency that the whole drone industry is relying on, which is the battery technology. Long story short, depending on the payload, we can think about operational times between 35 and 55 minutes. Obviously, if you don't need a parachute, or if you only need a gas sensor, or some very basic sensor system that is not super heavy, that prolongs your operational time. Our mission is, in the first equation, to take this dependency on the radio communications out of the equation. On the long shot, what everybody will be able to take out of the equation is this restriction in terms of flight time. What I also want to say is, I look at the flight time as something that is nice, and the more I can fly, the better. The longer I can fly, the better. It's bigger, longer, better. But the thing that I actually want to emphasize is, we look at the deployment of Nokia drone networks as an infrastructure service. And that goes again back to how networks from a cellular perspective work. You have a geographical coverage. And that is, by the way, what we are doing in Belgium already, and you will hear more in the news tomorrow. We think about the drone in a box operations as a geographical wide-ranging service. So it's not so that you have to maximize the operation of a single drone, but in parallel, you build up docks throughout the whole city on rooftops. You build out docks like cell towers, like gas stations, like traditional infrastructure. That's why I say very often, this is part of our modern infrastructure. Every block ideally should have one of those drone on a box systems on the rooftops.
Well, and here's an example of what you're doing in Belgium.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about this.
Yeah, and that's exactly, these 70 systems throughout the whole country of Belgium. That is this exact type of infrastructure service, or this exact type of geographical coverage that I'm talking about. Every fire station, every police station that subscribes to the service of our partner in Belgium, the company CityMesh. Every fire station, police station, or also industrial player will have to, beyond visual line of sight, drone operations in Belgium, thanks to the partnership of Nokia technology and CityMesh operations. Here also, the market entry strategy is blue light and firefighters and police, but we are also serving already industrial players for power line inspection or perimeter security. And once again, a little teaser: watch the news tomorrow and read the press tomorrow. There's going to be the next big thing, which is really going to be the real next big thing.
Oh, that's exciting. So you heard it here. Make sure you're watching LinkedIn for Thomas's and Nokia's announcement tomorrow. Another big thing happening in this space. So speaking of big things, Barry, you guys keep evolving, growing. This partnership is huge, and I can't wait to see where this goes. But in the meantime, Flying Lion is still expanding, and you were recently selected by Brookhaven Police Department in Georgia. So, how many are we up to now? And tell us a little about this latest one.
So Brookhaven is a seasoned DFR program, and what was really nice is that they realized that it doesn't make sense to put sworn officers up on a roof to fly the drones. And so they, after a few years going through that, trying to do it themselves, came back to us and said, hey, we really need your help to do this. So we've gone ahead and implemented a staffing team out there that helps them provide that RPIC role. And it's worked out real well. It's nothing new for their system because they've been doing it, but it helps them to, again, focus on what police do best, and that's, policing. And so that strategy has worked well with many other cities as well, and they continue to grow. One of the things that Thomas touched on as well is we're talking to communities about it being more of a community drone, not just a public safety drone, because it can do things for public works, engineering. And so the idea is that having the drone that the community can take advantage of is something that's kind of moving forward with, because it helps them. 90% of it will be for public safety. But if you look at the statistics, 911 calls are averaging about 1 every 45 minutes. So that means there's 45 minutes of downtime with the drone not being used, not being effective. So when you think of public works being able to look at projects and do pre, post, or mid and post photos of it, it's really going to help them efficiently manage their business needs within that community. So we see that as the next step. But one of the biggest things we're proud of is the DFR training that we do, specifically teaching police agencies and fire agencies how to use this drone technology. And we've just secured a location out in the desert. And so we have the ability, Nokia's got the expertise on the cold. And so we're now involving them and helping them understand what it's like to be out in our Mojave Desert with the heat that's out there. But there is a ghost town of a community that used to have a 5,000 person population. And so with it, we're able to replicate and create training that has scenarios that are just like you would have in real world with zero ground risk. And so with that, we're wanting to develop that and show how we can take advantage of this training in a remote location by using drones that are out in the middle of this desert and being able to remote fly, so we can remote train officers how to do what they'll do in their own communities.
Well, that's really exciting. So maybe everybody heard that first here. Where can you tell us where this is going to be and when the doors will open?
We are hoping to do something with commercial UAV to showcase it there. That's the timing for it. It's because it's been so hot, I will say that it's located about 100 miles south of Death Valley. So we are in one of the hotter places on the planet. But that's our goal, is to help Nokia with their technology to train, test, and collaborate with all the users to create this technology that can be absorbed into real world with zero risk, right? So
yeah.
That's this location. We're calling it Flight Town. So.
All right. So big announcement tomorrow from Nokia, big announcements from Flying Lion and commercial UAV. By the way, if you're going there, make sure you're signing up for the P3 Tech Carasoft Networking Happy Hour on Labor Day, September 2nd. Should be awesome in Caesar's Palace. So please join us. We're going to have a blast. Always a great way to kick the week off. It's our 4th annual, by the way, what I call Flash Mob Networking Happy Hour. So make sure you guys are joining us there. All right. So I knew our time would fly, no pun intended here. And we've got about 2 minutes left. So what I want to do is really cede the floor to each one of you. Give us about a minute or whatever, concluding remarks, how folks can reach you. And let's go ahead and start with Barry.
Flying Lion, Barry Brennand. Barry BB at flyandlioninc.com is my email, or you can come to our website, which is flyandlioninc.com, and check us out, and we'll help you in any way we can.
Awesome. And Thomas.
Yeah, I think searching for Nokia drone networks on the web will bring you to the right contacts, and we are really excited for this partnership. We as Nokia, as a global corporate, are 100% committed to bring the drone industry forward and help maturizing drone operations beyond visual line of sight for both the public safety, for worker safety, and industrial operations, ideally with the maximum level of automation and premium or superior connectivity. I'm looking forward to talk to many out there, and Dawn, I think we're going to see at commercial UAV.
Oh, yay, great. And I don't know, Thomas, if your group goes to Innovative Air Mobility Madrid, I'll be going to that at the end of September in Spain. So maybe we'll bump into each other there as well. That busy conference season's coming up. Always is every year in the fall. So really looking forward to seeing everybody out there. All right. Well, thank you both so much. You heard it here, everybody. This brand new partnership between Flying Lion and Nokia, this drone in a box solution for public safety and enterprise users and communities. We heard lots of announcements coming up tomorrow, commercial UAV. Thank you so much for taking this time to join us here today. And thank you everybody out there. Really appreciate you. And thank you so much also for sponsoring this month dedicated to our protectors and defenders. So everybody, that's all she wrote. We are out here.